Matter of fact, Quanny just a bro.
I keep thinking you're gonna try to clean it up here, but
yeah, I ain't want to pull his card though, but Quanny, bro.
Skrilla turned into one of the hottest names in rap after his 6-7 track started moving everywhere. But now he's caught up in a heavy feud with OT7 Quanny, and the whole situation is wild. People have known about Skrilla in the underground for a long time, but 2022 was the year things really started taking off for him in Philadelphia. That's when his buzz began spreading through the city, and suddenly everyone was paying attention to what he was doing next. Back earlier in his career, Skrilla was putting out songs that had more of an Atlanta-style vibe, but in 2022, he flipped the whole sound and came through with a project called Cutthroat. The tape had these strange, dark beats that instantly stood out, and Skrilla was talking slick on tracks like Block High. On that record, he rapped, "You ain't gotta act hard, we wasn't raised the same. Have you laid up in the dock, you can't even move the same. Can't even eat the same shit. Shitty bag, zipper on your stomach. You ain't never think you could get tapped, but bitch, we did it." The energy on that project was gritty and intense, and fans in the city started locking in with his style right away. Throughout the project, Skrilla kept hinting at street rivalries and serious tension, but he didn't really call out anyone directly by name. Unlike some drill rappers who constantly disrespect rivals or mention people who passed away, Skrilla mostly kept it indirect. Still, he was known to be around some very controversial figures in Philly.
My producer, the nigga Mambo, that's the nigga that be making all them beats that everybody using now. That's my producer, he from Rome. Once I heard that nigga shit though, like that shit was a rap though. You heard, I ain't never heard no shit like that before though, so after I heard that shit was up after that.
One of the biggest names connected to that scene was YBC Duel, a rising rapper who was gaining huge attention before he sadly lost his life in broad daylight. Duel was heating up in the studio, while his YBC crew had a reputation for causing major chaos across the city, and people online were constantly talking about their wild stories and reckless moves. Duel already had a serious reputation in the streets long before he started talking tough in the recording booth. People around Philly knew his name, and that background made his music feel even more intense when he finally stepped into the spotlight. Skrilla was close with Duel, and the two were seen around each other often. In fact, when Brandon Buckingham came out to Philadelphia to interview Skrilla, Skrilla even introduced him to Duel during the visit. But here's where the situation starts looking messy. While Skrilla showed support to YBC Duel and his circle, people also noticed he had connections on the other side too. Skrilla was showing love to members connected to CCK as well. CCK isn't just one crew either. It's a mix of different groups, including the Clappers from 56th Street, the Campers, and the Clappers from 7th Street. All of those groups have serious tension with YWC, which made the whole situation feel even more complicated.
Me and Quanny cool, that shit.
You squashed it? Well, that's good. That's good for the future of Philly right there.
Yeah.
You might be trolling me, but you know.
Nah, we cool.
According to rumors spreading around the city, people connected to CCK were involved in the situation where YBC's friend DTI lost his life. After that tragic moment, Lil Bucks from CCK released a song called Lonely Child, where he rapped, "Andre Youngbull walked to the store, but he ain't make it back. Your homie died, you ain't slide, you went to make a track. Fetty hot as shit in them boots, he tried to bust a track. My name always on that radar, on that dispatch." The tension between YBC and CCK was already intense, but Skrilla still seemed cool with people from both sides. He even dropped a track with Lil Bucks called Hood Hopper. On that record, Lil Bucks rapped, "Bitch, I'm with Big Zoo, we're the Campers, CCK, 0 to 4. I cracked the 4, I tilt my bucket hat, I damn near hit the floater." The connections had people talking, and many were shocked that Skrilla was moving between both circles like that. Then Skrilla jumped on a track with YBC Duel called McButtons and McNuggets Part 2, and that's when a lot of listeners started thinking he might finally be picking a side in the drama. YBC Duel had built a reputation for being one of the most disrespectful voices in the rap scene, and on that record,
I heard the song when it was done. It was just me and Skrilla. Next time I heard it, it was me, Skrilla, and Bucks on it.
How you feel about that though?
But I ain't gonna lie though, Skrilla asked me did I want to do that shit. I told him no. He was trying to get me to shoot a video to that joint and all. I'm like, bro, no, bro, like what?
He went straight at CCK with some very direct lines. The tension between those crews was already serious, and the track only made things louder online. According to stories that were spreading around the city, people connected to CCK had ongoing issues with a CCK member named Sonny Goon. People were saying they couldn't reach him while he was locked up, and the rumors around the situation quickly turned into a huge topic in Philly conversations. There were also claims that Sonny's brother Booga tragically lost his life while leaving work at a McDonald's, which added even more emotion and controversy to everything people were talking about. On McButtons and McNuggets Part 2, Dude threw direct words towards Lil Bucks, Sonny, and Booga. In the song, he rapped, "Sonny and his brother Booga when he hear her. We catch niggas while they clocking out. Nigga worked at McDonald's. Pussy shoulda took a different route. Sonny in the jails, y'all shitty now. Yeah, I just put the banger on Bucks and made that nigga switch to a different jail." On that same track, Skrilla delivered his own lines, rapping about moving through different neighborhoods and making his presence known, saying, "Bunny hopping, different niggas' hoods, show 'em who really hood." With all that intense talk in the music, it still seemed like Skrilla was trying to stay connected with multiple sides at the same time.
Matter of fact, Quanny's just a bro.
I keep
Quanny
thinking you're gonna try to clean it up here, but
yeah, I ain't want to pull his card though, but Quanny, bro, Quanny ain't never took no.
Smoking a fucking whippet and a vape at the same time is diabolical. Man, bro, smoking a whippet and a vape, gang. What the fuck? Gang, that shit is diabolical. I'm just saying. For real. I'm for real.
Piss Quanny ain't never do that. Quanny's a bitch, bro. That's that. I don't even want to talk about it no more though, bro.
And that's when a lot of tension started building across the city. Skrilla had been linking up with Zoo Gang rappers like Poundside Pop, but at the exact same time, he was also cool with one of their biggest rivals, Hood Tali. That alone had people in Philly looking sideways at the situation, because both sides were already deep into their own rivalry. Hood Tali was another Philly drill rapper people talked about constantly, with rumors saying he had serious influence in the streets. One of the names often mentioned around him was his close friend, Child Lizzy, a figure many claim played a big role in starting Zoo Gang in the first place. The tension between those circles reportedly exploded during a high school basketball game, where people connected to Hood Tali and Poundside Pop got into a heated confrontation and started throwing punches right there in the building.
What began as a fight quickly turned into something much deeper, and the rivalry across the city intensified fast. After the incident at the game, Child Lizzy ended up getting arrested on a firearm charge. Later, after he was released, rumors spread that he was connected to the tragic loss of Poundside Pop's friend Sadie. That moment pushed things even further, and Poundside Pop, along with his allies, began proudly calling themselves Zoo Gang. Child Lizzy even addressed the situation in a track called No Lack, rapping, "When hairy niggas keep talking about bodies, I'll put the zoo on the map." Not long after that, word spread around the city that Zoo Gang had responded, and people claimed Child Lizzy later lost his life as the conflict kept escalating. Then, a Zoo Gang rapper named OT7 Quanny dropped the track, where many listeners felt like he was hinting at a real-life situation in his lyrics. On the song, he rapped, "ZOO Andra. Last nigga played with Zoo name shit, got him stepped on. I know you remember, you can't forget it, cause you was next to him. I put that on God. We catch a man and we gon' take it there. They said that his body had left the scene, but shit, his face still there." Those lines had people online going wild, with fans trying to decode exactly who and what he was talking
That's some cold shit to say. That's some cold shit to say in a diss track.
about. The rivalry between Hood Tali's side and Zoo Gang had gotten so intense that even Meek Mill reportedly tried to step in and calm things down. Instead of fixing the situation, that move actually made things even more heated and ended up creating tension between Meek and members connected to Zoo Gang. Skrilla had already been cool with Hood Tali and even made several songs with him. But in 2023, Skrilla also linked up in the studio with OT7 Quani. The track they recorded together never officially dropped, but it showed that Quani clearly didn't have an issue working with Skrilla, even though Skrilla had been around rival circles before. For a while, it looked like everyone was fine with Skrilla jumping in the booth with whoever he wanted, until one move almost caused serious tension with one of his own friends. UBC Dull had a serious rivalry with CCK, and the tension between those groups was intense for a long time. People around the city constantly talked about incidents happening on both sides. After Dull's friend had tragically lost his life, Lil Bucks from CCK quickly jumped into the studio and released music that many listeners felt was aimed directly at the situation. The track had people talking everywhere online. That's why so many fans were stunned when Skrilla suddenly dropped the song featuring both Dull and Lil Bucks. Nobody expected those two names to appear on the same track because the issues between their circles have been so public. At first, it looked like the impossible had happened, like the rivalry had somehow been settled in the studio. But the real story behind it shocked people even more. Dull believed he was only recording the song with Skrilla, but after they finished the track, Skrilla later reached out to Lil Bucks and added his verse to the record as well. Skrilla had asked Dull beforehand if he could include Lil Bucks, and Dull reportedly told him no. Despite that, Skrilla went ahead and did it anyway, which left Dull seriously upset when he found out. Even with that drama, Dull and Skrilla didn't fully fall out, especially because Skrilla was still helping bring more attention to Dull's music at the time. Skrilla also continued moving between different circles like UBC, CCK, and Zoo Gang. But things shifted after Skrilla did an interview and claimed he was the one who started the new wave of Philly drill sound. OT7 Quanny had been making music for years too, and just like Skrilla, his style evolved around 2022. Both artists began using those dark, eerie beats at the same time, and that's exactly where the tension between them really started heating up. Once that clip started spreading online, people immediately began comparing Skrilla and OT7 Quanny. Fans from both sides were arguing in the comments, debating who really helped shape the new Philly drill sound. Some people were saying Skrilla brought the dark energy first, while others insisted Quanny had already been moving in that lane before the buzz started. The conversation didn't stay friendly for long. Subtle shots began showing up in music and online posts, and supporters from both camps kept pushing the debate louder and louder. In the middle of all this, fans were also bringing up the unreleased studio session where Skrilla and OT7 Quanny had recorded together. People were confused. If they had worked together before, why was there suddenly tension in the air? That's when the situation got even more awkward. Instead of clearing things up, both sides stayed quiet publicly, which only made the rumors grow even bigger. Some fans believed the friendship had quietly turned into competition, while others thought outside drama from different crews was starting to spill into the music scene. Either way, the energy between Skrilla and OT7 Quanny clearly wasn't the same anymore. What once looked like two artists possibly working together started turning into something that felt way more serious, and fans across Philly were watching closely to see what would happen next. OT7 Quanny had never really complained about Skrilla working with different artists around the city, even when some of them were connected to rival crews. But everything shifted after Skrilla did that interview and claimed he helped start the new wave of Philly drill. Once that clip started spreading online, Quanny jumped on Instagram and openly called him out, and the situation got tense fast. In the interview, Skrilla explained that he linked up with a producer out in Rome and started building a unique sound. According to him, once his music started gaining attention, other rappers around Philly began moving toward that same dark, eerie style of beats. But Quanny quickly pushed back on that idea. He claimed the sound actually came from him and his own producer, and that Skrilla was the one borrowing the style.
Skrilla didn't stay quiet either. He responded by clowning Quanny and acting like the criticism was just jealousy. Then Quanny fired back again and revealed something that surprised fans. He said the reason their studio track never dropped was because, in his words, he completely outperformed Skrilla on the record. The whole argument really started over that new wave claim. But then Quanny tried to shift the focus by saying he didn't rock with Skrilla because of the people Skrilla worked with. The problem with that explanation was simple though. Skrilla had already been collaborating with artists from all over the city long before Quanny ever stepped in the studio with him. At that point, it started looking like there was way more going on behind the scenes. Skrilla fired back again online and even sent what sounded like a warning toward OT7 Quanny. Fans thought the situation was about to explode, but then something strange happened. Out of nowhere, Quanny jumped on Instagram and claimed the whole thing was fake drama, saying he and Skrilla actually had music coming soon. A lot of people didn't believe that story at all. The internet immediately started calling it cap, and the rumors only got louder. Not long after that, Skrilla appeared on No Jumper and spoke openly about the situation,
putting the spotlight back on the feud. During the conversation with Adam22, Skrilla questioned Quanny's reputation and basically said he didn't think Quanny had the kind of background people were claiming. Skrilla also talked about his own past, explaining that he grew up in Kensington and started hustling at a very young age. He told Adam22 he had lived through serious situations growing up and felt like his experiences were very different from Quanny's. At one point, he even said he wanted to see Quanny face to face to settle things directly. Skrilla joked that he wasn't even known for fighting, but still said he believed he could handle Quanny if they ever met in person. The comments went viral fast, and fans thought the rivalry was about to get even bigger. But then, just a few months later, Skrilla returned to No Jumper again and surprisingly said the issue with Quanny was over. Nobody really knows what happened behind the scenes, but the tension suddenly cooled off. Not long after that, Quanny made a big career move and signed a deal with the label 10K Projects in April 2024, which had fans shifting their focus back to the music. Rumors started spreading that OT7 Quanny received a huge deal when he signed with the label, and many fans believed he was about to become the next Philly rapper to really break through on a national level. For a moment, it looked like everything was lining up perfectly for him to take that big leap out of the city. But then something strange happened. After signing, Quanny slowed down and the momentum around his name started fading.
Yeah,
Fans kept...
I remember when he first came out. My little cousins used to listen to him heavy. When he first came out, boy, motherfuckers was on it. Now me personally, I only listen through his music through them, so I don't really know what kind of music he was putting out. You know what I mean? I don't know if it was like really a relation to Skrilla or not. The songs I was hearing, it was different flow. I mean, it didn't really sound like Skrilla flow. So I don't know, but like I say, I ain't listened to enough of his music to know, you know what I'm saying? So I don't really know what type of music he was making. But at the same time, yeah, bro, like I ain't heard nobody mention his name. Well, I can't even, and I ain't trying to troll. I'm being for real. Like, I ain't really heard nobody mention his name ever since. And that was, what, a year ago? Year and a half ago? Probably longer than that. Probably 2 years ago? You know what I mean? So it's like,
asking the same question. Was the label holding back his releases, or did things simply stall out behind the scenes? Whatever the reason, the excitement around his career cooled off because hardly any new music at the time. For a while, Skrilla and Quani were moving at almost the same level in the rap scene, but everything shifted when Skrilla dropped 6-7. That record exploded, and suddenly his name was everywhere. Now, Skrilla's been linking up with major artists like Lil Yachty and Go Herbo, and he's even been traveling overseas for shows. Even though problems still happen in Philadelphia, Skrilla's been trying to distance himself from that environment. In an interview with The Fader, he explained that his music is evolving because his lifestyle is different now. He said, "I'm not actually out here running around shooting at nobody right now." The tension with Quanny also seems to have cooled off completely. Still, fans notice Skrilla staying connected with certain street influences, and people online have pointed out his connection with Atlanta rapper Ola Run. Even with all the success, people still keep a close eye on Skrilla because of how many different circles he's been connected to over the years. In Philly, reputation travels fast, and fans never forget who worked with who. That's why his name keeps popping up whenever people talk about the city's drill scene and all the rivalries tied to it.
But lately, Skrilla seems way more focused on the music and the opportunities coming with it. Touring in different countries, linking with big artists, and building a bigger fan base has clearly changed the direction of his career. Instead of being caught in constant online drama, he's been putting more energy into dropping new songs and expanding his sound. At the same time, the Philly drill scene hasn't slowed down at all. New rappers keep popping up, new songs keep going viral, and the competition in the city is still intense. Fans are always debating who's really leading the movement now, especially after the whole argument about who started the new wave. Some people still say Skrilla helped push the sound into the spotlight, while others believe multiple artists helped build that wave together. Either way, Skrilla's name is now permanently tied to the rise of Philly's new drill era, and the spotlight on him isn't fading anytime soon. Skrilla may have moved past the tension with OT7 Quanny, but that doesn't mean everyone in Philly is on good terms with him yet. Some people in the city still have issues with him, and the conversations pop up online from time to time. Lil Bucks from CCK was recently dealing with legal trouble related to a firearm case, but in January 2026, he still jumped on Instagram and called Skrilla out publicly. Skrilla didn't respond, though, and many fans think that's because his career has already moved far beyond the local drama. At the same time, Quanny hasn't really been mentioning the situation with Skrilla anymore either. Right now, a lot of fans feel like his main focus should be rebuilding momentum in the rap game. After his buzz slowed down for a while, many listeners were waiting to see him return with new music and strong releases. Things got even more awkward for Quanny when a Philly streamer named She Loves Ra claimed he had a bad experience after trying to work with him. Ra had previously shown Quanny a lot of support and wanted to collaborate on the stream, but later accused him of taking $3,500 and not following through. Once that story spread online, Quanny faced a wave of criticism from fans. Still, in the music world, things can change fast. If Quanny starts dropping more music and rebuilding his buzz, he could definitely bounce back. And if the issues with Skrilla are truly over, fans would probably go crazy if the two of them actually linked up and released a track together. If you enjoyed this story and want more breakdowns like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Skrilla and OT7 Quanny situation.
Boy, you'll be surprised, man. You'll be surprised. Damn. Okay, Q done finally bought him a house now. Okay. Okay, Q. Shouts out, okay, Q, man. Keep doing your shit, boy. Yeah.